Mic, audio input. Boop, 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 boop. Yep, that's working. Okay, good. Right, okay, I can kind of hear myself a little bit, but that's fine. Hey, Mugen Live, guten Abend, my friend. Thank you very much for joining. I'm just sorting a couple of little audio thingy bobs here. So audio input, including mic. I can turn that to monitor off. That should just... How are you, my friend? So I've been playing with this for, I don't know, a couple of weeks now, I guess. It's there's a whole plethora of these streaming apps, as I'm sure you're aware. I normally use Melon, but in the past I've used Restream. I used Restream for a good 12 months, largely because I won a year's worth of their pro account. And I liked it, and I still like Restream. In many ways, it's very polished. But they, like a lot of these guys, seem to have taken a back seat in terms of innovative, ongoing development. So I moved to Melon largely because they did a lifetime subscription for a ridiculously low price, like 2 months worth of sort of standard subscription. So I've been using Melon. I'm relatively happy with Melon. I would say that maybe the quality, they all use a lot of the built-in code that's in Chromium, which is obviously behind Chrome and Edge and Opera and a whole bunch of 90% of browsers, to be fair. So they use what's built in as the streaming engine, which is fine, except it is limited, and it tends to use a dynamic bitrate, for example. So if anything is that big, which our cameras typically are on the screen, it will drop the bitrate and typically the frames per second for those cameras. So if you watch back any of my streams, if you watched the Rock Show one earlier, you'll see, if you watch the cameras, you'll see that the frame rate is nowhere near the same as if they're bigger. So if they're large, then they're 30 frames per second. But when the cameras are small, they drop the frame rate down to 15, 20 frames per second, and it annoys me. And the same thing goes for bitrate. And the problem you have is if you ever stream, if you ever end up sort of streaming the a game, for example, where there's lots of fast moving action, the dynamic bitrate just doesn't keep up. So it's always you end up with all sorts of a mess. So there's upsides and downsides to using these things, but typically they're just not great for that kind of a thing. So I have been looking around. I mean, I typically use OBS these days for anything that I want sort of a little bit more design and quality around. So this is OBS that we're using here now, and it's probably 1440. Usually I stream at 1440. So it's fairly sharp, and you're not going to get the bitrate issues because I always pump up the bitrate. Now, Evmux has actually been that's an awful name. I can say all this because we're private. This video probably won't go public. I'm intending to do a public video review of Evmux and probably some little tutorials as well, as there's a few little workarounds that I've discovered that might catch people out initially. And it is, we'll go into it in a second, but it is actually a kind of hybrid app between the simplicity of something like Streamyard or Restream or Melon and the slightly more complex world of OBS and Streamlabs. Streamlabs is an offshoot, a root of OBS in any case. So they're very similar. The other one that sort of sits out on its own is Prism, which I love. I really, really like Prism. I did cover Prism earlier in the year on a couple of videos. And quite honestly, it does as much as anybody could possibly want, and it's completely free. And it's got a really lovely interface. The reason I don't use it is the same reason that I don't use Streamlabs, and I prefer to use OBS, because OBS has an absolute massive library of extensions and plugins and ongoing developer support. Whereas Prism and Streamlabs they don't have third-party extensions, and the functionality that they have, as great as it is, limits me when I want to do things like Larry the Laptop, where I've used 3D and all sorts of stuff. So, you know, that's not to say that I wouldn't use them. And in fact, looking at Evmux, so the guys, full disclosure, they've given me, I asked them if they could let me have a couple of weeks access to it so that I could do a review and, you know, videos and tutorials and stuff. Bless their little socks, they gave me a full year's worth of the top tier account. And pricing wise, it's not cheap. I'll put this out here right now. So let's go with monthly. You should see this. Hey Adam, good to see you, my friend. My volume is a bit low. Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. Tell me if that's any better. I don't normally use this streaming profile, so I'm in 2 other channels. Everyone's streaming at once. Well, yeah, then it's probably them. My input gain's fairly high, and I've just boosted the audio output, so hopefully it's better now. So anyway, monthly, which is what most people pay. You obviously get your free account, which is, you know, the same as Streamyard, or Melon or Restream. These guys tend to have a free tier, except the free tier that comes with Evmux is awesome. I mean, for a start, you straight off the bat, I'll zoom in a tad here, straight off the bat for free, they let you have 1080p. None of the others let you do that. All of the others throttle you at maximum 720p. And then you don't get 1080p till you go right up to the top for those guys. Not the case here. In the free account, they pretty much give you everything. The obvious stuff you don't get, which is typical everywhere, is, for example, they won't allow you to use your own logo. You've got to kind of be stuck with the powered by Evmux. Now, I've seen a ton of folk, including people like Rose Kenobi, who else? I think there's quite a few of them that just, Squids, they use the free version of Streamyard, which is actually the worst free of all of them. Not only has it got the duck in the corner, but it's stuck at 720. You can't use a lot of different stuff. So the free account for these guys, to be honest, is amazing. And it genuinely is. It's by far the best free account that I've seen anywhere, and it does give you most of the options, to be fair. Now, these guys have very, very generously let me have the annual version, which obviously they're saying works out at $39 a month, but that's not what it is. It's about $400 and something, which, having played with it and seeing how forward-thinking they are, about ongoing development. They're sort of rolling out features per week at the moment. Now, Melon used to do that, and then they stopped. Melon stopped running features. Melon's an interesting story. You may or may not know that it is actually owned by Streamlabs, or at least it was an offshoot of Streamlabs, which I believe happened because they were looking to sell the business and of Streamlabs. And they felt that if they had a separate kind of streaming app, it would add value. So it was set up as a separate business and with majority ownership by Streamlabs. And they did their thing. And, I liked what they did. And they were rolling out features on a regular basis as well. And then they sold Streamlabs to Logitech, believe it or not. Which I think is a great partner. They're very keen to do lots of stuff in this kind of space. They're looking to position themselves as El Gato for the rest of us, I guess. But what I saw, so initially Logitech paid whatever they paid, millions for Streamlabs. Then then recently they brought Melon back into the fold and they've started to integrate it into Streamlabs. And development kind of just came to a grinding halt. I've not seen any additional functionality since. Thanks, Adam. So these guys have come along and they, bless them, have given me a year's worth of Pro account. So I've got everything. A lot of which, to be honest, even if I was paying for it, I don't know. Teams is really good because you get to collaborate with other people, which is good when you're streaming because very often, for me, for example, I've got a lot going on. Luckily, I've learned the skill of being able to manage and talk at the same time. Not, though, to be able to game and talk at the same time, which is quite weird. I don't know why that is. I can... excuse me, I can pretty much do this, but anyway. And then there's the basic account. So you get all of this stuff down here, but you also get to put your own logo on it. And quite honestly, $25 a month, that's comparable, I think, to the others. Let's have a quick look at Restream. I didn't really want to log in. Too late. Let's just go with sign up and have a look at there. I don't really want to sign up either. Right, okay. What I wanted to look at was pricing. Do they hide it? Oh, you go, pricing. Cool. Yeah, okay. So let's look at monthly. Free, you get naffle. I mean, look, you don't get your 1080p till you go up to professional. And when you're up at professional, you're the same price. This is what I think Evmux are doing. I think what they're trying to do is basically say, let's give them everything for free. Let's make the $25 account like kind of, is it really worth the bother? See, I would have priced the Pro at maybe $10 more than that. So go in at $35 and then it's like, well, it's worth paying a bit because it's now priced the same as this, but their standard is $6 cheaper. Although it doesn't include 1080p, to be fair. Let's have a look at melon.com. Sorry for you've seen the behind the scenes of Melons. This is what I was using earlier for Rock Show. And it's very simple, fairly simple interface. You get your chat and you get your designs and stuff. Although, when you're trying to run this stuff on the fly, it gets a bit complicated, to be fair, with banners and so on. It's kind of how it works. But if we go and have a look at, let's see, refer and earn, we should be able to get back to pricing from here. Ooh, let's go to Melon. No, it's taking me back. Anyway, Rock's in there. Hello, Rock. It's a similar kind of price. Hey, Joe, how are you, dude? I'm glad you're here, my friend. Your comment earlier was largely why I'm doing this now. When you said, I'm keen to have a look at it. I'm just comparing the various packages. I've not even got there yet, so don't worry, you've not missed anything. I just wanted to show everybody what pricing looked like. So here's Melon's pricing, hidden away somewhere. Let's see if we can find it. Pricing. I need to log out first. Let's log out. That's all good. Right, here we go. Pricing. Okay. So their pricing's very aggressive. they've obviously got a free account, but they've got a standard account for $9 a month, and then they've got their pro account. But yet again, 1080p is only at the pro level. It actually drops quite a lot as well at 12 months. But I know that they recently dropped their prices. Melon, as I mentioned to those of you that just popped in, Melon is actually owned by Streamlabs, which was sold to Logitech earlier in the year. So Logitech are really keen to try and grab some of this market. There's a massive market out there. But it didn't nosedive, but it dipped significantly after lockdown. And of course, Zoom, because all the press are lazy, media's lazy, and it tends to hook into one brand, and it uses that as an example. So they did it for Twitter, and then they've done it with Zoom. So Logitech via Streamlabs are aggressively pricing it. However, and as I've said earlier on, I've got a grandfather account with Melon. I've paid for a technically full lifetime account. I will never have to pay for it again, ever. But they did stop. As far as I'm concerned, they stopped any innovative feature development at the point they recently started to roll it into Streamlabs. It's now part of the Streamlabs Ultra pack. Oh, there's Jeffrey there. Hello, Jeffrey. So, for example, if we go to Streamlabs, we'll go down to Streamlabs. And reject their cookies. So they've recently gone with this new plan, Ultra, which is what used to be their pro package. It's still overpriced for what you get. I'm sure they feel that showing a bunch of icons means it's worth a lot, but these aren't brilliant. I bought CrossClip for a little while. It's rubbish. Oslo Editor Pro, very limited user. I don't see why you would need it. Willow Link is just, put your website links up on a page. And then, of course, Melon. So they've built Melon now into Ultra. And actually, that is probably worth the money. Because as we've seen, its Pro is $17 a month. And the Ultra version of Streamlabs is about $19 a month. So if I didn't have Melon, that would be the compeller that would make me want to pay for Streamlabs. But there's nothing else in Streamlabs other than the ability to change the name of the bot so that in chat it doesn't say Streamlabs. Hey Al, how are you, buddy? Right, so that's your comparison. So price-wise, where did we get to with pricing? Price-wise, at this moment in time, I feel they need to be a bit more competitive. However, as I mentioned, and I'll just say it again to those of you that are relatively new in, what you get under free with these guys is what you get in Pro with somebody like Streamyard, including the ability in the free package to stream at 1080p, which you have to go up to the Pro package to do with Melon and with Restream and Streamyard. So, there's no, as far as I'm concerned, it's a no-brainer. If you're looking to use a free web streaming app or the free version, then irrespective of what I'm about to show you in terms of functionality, none of them come anywhere near Evmux. This is absolutely the account you want for free if you're looking for the free version. You don't mind their logo in the corner, like I said earlier, like Squids and like Obi Rose Kenobi. Those guys don't mind. They're not paying for the application. They don't mind the fact that it's got the duck in the corner. And similarly here, you'd have their logo in the corner. So that's that in terms of pricing. There's pointless going through these features down here, to be honest with you, except, again, for free, 12 on-screen participants. Only available on the Pro version of Melon. Backstage mode, they've got quite a sweet backstage mode, to be fair. You can multi-stream. You can with it all, but you can do it to 2 destinations. They only go up to 4 anyway. But to be honest, I only ever stream to Twitch and YouTube. In the past, I've streamed to Facebook as well, but the only people that watch it is my mum, bless her. It's a pointless exercise. So I tend to stick to Twitch, and I've got like 1,100 Twitch followers, and just under a couple of hundred, below 3,000 for YouTube. That's enough for me. So let's go in. So you sign up, you pay your money. We'll get rid of the other two because they'll be using bandwidth. The first thing, that's the studio. First thing to note is that unlike any other web app, any streaming-based web app, it has a really clever way of managing shows and people that participate in those shows. So, and I've used them all. None of them have anything near as impressive as this. So they have these things called sessions. No, sorry, a session is a show. They have these things called projects. So you'll see here I've got rock players, rock show, and rock around the clock. Now, apologies in advance because I can't really zoom in like I normally do in a browser. If I hit Command plus, you'll end up not seeing stuff and it'll all be out of kilter. But I'll try and talk it as we go. So yeah, I've set these projects up. So imagine in my case, and it may be different for different people, a project for me is one of my shows. So rock around the clock, rock players, rock show. And there'll be more next year. So I've not found a limit. If I wanted to create a new project, here we're seeing all current projects, but all I'd have to do is go new project. It asks you if you want a single broadcast, which is fast access to the studio, go live fast, or multiple session event. The difference is if you were doing a one-off event, like a charity stream or something, and you were going to brand it differently to your normal projects, then you probably go with a single broadcast. If, like me, you're doing a branded show like Rock Around the Clock, and you're going to therefore have new shows regularly, then you go with multiple session event, and it says for complex events that have agenda. It's worth noting the history of Evmux is I'm not sure of the country of origin, although I've heard all of the founders and they've definitely got accents. I noticed one of the guys lives in Israel, so they might be Israeli, but they're definitely not European or North American in the sense they might be Ukrainian or they might be Polish, but they're certainly not Western European and they're not North American. Irrelevant, really, just saying that for context. But their background is that they wanted to build an application for people to hold online conferences and events. So back in the day when eventing was pre-lockdown, pre-COVID, when conferences and physical events were really, really popular. They wanted to be, creating virtual spaces for those kinds of conferences. So you would have, say, let's think Game Awards, for example. And you would, put all your speakers in and you'd slot the sessions for those speakers and when in the event they were going to be talking. So once you know that as context, a lot of the phraseology they use kind of makes more sense. Now, they obviously got to COVID and realized that there was almost a death knell for live events and conferences. So, and by the way, I'm using a little camera that's below me, but I'm looking at my main camera because they're both on. So apologies if I look to be looking above you. I'm sorry, I got you down there. Hi, guys. So when you see things like sessions and speakers, it's because that's their background. That's what they were doing. And they basically pivoted. They saw the likes of Streamyard and Zoom were doing so well. And they thought, you know what, we've got the technology. We could pivot into this space. And that's what they've been doing over about the last 12 months. I think they've been around for a couple of years, but they've been pivoting over the last 12 months. Although they don't say they're in beta, and just as a reminder, this is a members only stream, so I might say things to you guys that I wouldn't say necessarily out in a review that I do publicly. But for me, it feels like it's still very much in rapid development. And I wouldn't be surprised if it had beta in the corner. It doesn't, but they do have, as I said, they have a team that is developing it all the time. I went into their Facebook the other day and I said, is there a way of doing X, Y, Z? Which, by the way, and I'll show you in a minute, it's a fundamental issue. And they said, oh no, there isn't a way of doing that, but you can work around it by doing this. That's classic kind of, develop and run. It's kind of the old, they're just developing it as they go is essentially what I'm saying, which is fine because that's how most of the really good apps are. So anyway, we create a new project. So in this case, a project, as far as they're concerned, in their original phraseology, would have been E3 or Game Awards or, a local expo, might be Expo 23. And they would set it up. So they create their Expo 23 and they'd pull up a logo. So you've got options here for logo, project name, description, time zones, and so on, you see. And then you can add collaborators as well. And that's essentially, once the project is created, then you add in the speakers. And with all of these things, you might have, Joe Blogs is having doing a keynote at 10 a.m. And Jane Blogs is coming on at 11 a.m. to talk about, changes in meteorology and so on. So you create your speakers, who you probably know ahead of time, and then you would set the sessions up that those speakers would be talking in. Now, that's originally what it was set up for. What we use it for, therefore, is a different thing altogether. So a project, as far as I am concerned, and we won't save it, we'll go back to our project. A project, as far as I'm concerned, is my shows. Or it might be a channel. And if you're a channel that only has, you don't do branded shows like I do, and 90% of you don't, then you would probably just have your channel, and then you would create the sessions within the channel, and the sessions are the live streams or recordings, because you could do recordings. You don't have to go live with this. That's one of the great things that it does. And it will let you record locally if you want to take it out, add some stuff, edit it, add captions, that kind of thing. Or it will let you record live or in private to one of your streams, one of your multi-streams. So in my case, we've got Rock Show, we've got Rock Players, and we've got Rock Around the Clock. Now you'll see here, let's go back into Rock Players, for example. You'll see here, there's the brand up here, and I think that date is when that event was set up. Project, sorry. Then we have speakers. So that's each of these projects or web shows, whatever you want to call them. You can assign permanent speakers to them. So you just go into your speakers. And by the way, actually, let's choose that one. It's probably better. Let's go into here. I took a little while coming online because I wanted to anonymize these email addresses. So, for example, we've got Ray. I've got a few different speakers that might pop into the show here that might, may have a lifetime pass. So, obviously, Ray, John, and William, and they're set up as favorites. And all they have to do to join the show is go to the console, even type their email address, it recognizes them and lets them in. So it's great. You don't have to keep inviting the same people. And then you can set them up in here with their speakers logo, with an avatar, with ton of information. You can decide which of your shows or sessions you want to add them into. And there's their personal login. There you go. So you give them that link, copy that, give it to them. They can come in whenever they want. So if we go back to our dashboard, and once you've selected the project here, all of these icons, all of these links here pertain to this area. So it's not a dashboard for your account, it's a dashboard for this project. So once you've chosen this project, the whole of Evmux becomes that. And what I was getting to just now, because I don't like the name, I wish they'd change it to a EV Mix or AV Mix. But it's EV for events, which you now know why. Mux is something to do with bringing various media and things together. But I mean, it's the typical thing that you'll find with Anyone who's not a native English speaker, when they're creating a brand, Black Nut is a classic. To them, it sounds fine, but it just doesn't roll off the tongue, Evmux. But it is what it is. And to be fair, to your audience, it's kind of irrelevant. So here's the dashboard for Rock Show. We'll stick with this one. So we can see we have 6 speakers set up. We have 1 session, which is this January the 3rd. So you guys are getting a sneak peek. I mentioned on my show earlier that we've got a new co-host. Indeed, it is David Wilson. So David is going to be joining us. Most of the time, John can't make it anymore, bless him, which is a real shame because I love doing stuff with John. He and I just we're the same sense of humour, basically, as do the other guys. So young David Wilson's going to be joining us from the 3rd of January. We'll make a big thing of it nearer the time. That's why it's called Rock Show Happy New Wilson. And the plan is that I'm going to use Evmux sort of live for that show. So I'll show you what I've set up in a second. So if we go back to the dashboard, we've got the 1 session set up, but you can set up multiple sessions. And the minute you commit those sessions, they will get piped into YouTube as coming soon or Twitch. Same deal. And we can, of course, then go in and record. Excuse me, guys. This is actually why I didn't go live, by the way, real world live yet for this. But I'm really, really keen to go through it with you. So I know you don't mind me the occasional bark. So here you can create a broadcast session. So you can create more sessions. So if we know we're going to have a rock show every Tuesday. If we wanted to, we could create a new session and do them 7 days apart. And that's going to get our sessions going. We add the speakers in. If I go into this session, this is detail for the session here. So you can see we've given it the name. You can give it a description. And you can add in your speakers. So Stephen, Holt and Bjorn, who obviously are the Rock Player Boys, they're plugged in as speakers. So I could bring them into the session if I wanted to. But I've plugged in the regulars. So as you'll see in a second, when I use some of the functionality within the studio, it'll automatically recognize that it needs to be associated to these speakers, which is brilliant. So that's our session. 1 session. Here is the amount of broadcast time. This will be accumulated, even if, as is the case, you decide to delete sessions after after they've been live. So I did a little test session yesterday. So it's showing that I've used 3 hours, 54 minutes. That's important because some of the packages, let's have a look, have a limit to how long you can stream in a given month, I believe. What have we got here? Let's have a look. Might be wrong. Unlimited streaming hours is basic and beyond. So you are limited on free. Let me see if I can find it here. I know you are. I'm just trying to find where. Streaming limits. There you go. 2 hours each. Stream up to 2 hours each live, 30 hours a month. So there's your massive limit straight away on the free account. You're limited to 2 hours. Oh, 30 hours, beg your pardon. I was thinking 30 minutes. Okay, so a show is limited to 2 hours. So no good if you're doing an 8-hour game stream. But for most of us, 2 hours for, a chat is absolutely fine. That's absolutely perfect. And 30 hours a month, which is quite a lot, isn't it? So you could do 15 shows of 2 hours a piece in a given month. Which is, what's that? 2, 3, 4 a week. That's a fair amount, though. Actually, that's pretty impressive. That's more than I thought they gave you. Whoops, I'm going to go in there in a minute. So this is useful because it's showing you what you've accumulated, and you've got size file limits as well. 5 gig storage on the free, so you want to kind of keep an eye. The storage is, I don't know if it accumulates with video. But you could delete it. I think it's more to do with your assets. So your logos and your videos and stuff. That's all in there. And you've got your settings in here, which is just the project stuff. logos and so on. It's all standard. You can add your collaborators as well into here, which I'll need to do for Rock Show. So let's go into so we've created a show, we've got our speakers, and it will show them the little avatars. If there's, it shows you 3, and then I think, well, you can see them when you go in here anyway, which is pretty cool. Plus destinations, so set up for Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. So let's go into the studio. Now, it just happens I've got a studio up here already, so there's not much point in create new project, notifications, and then you've got your billing and all that stuff. It's all fairly straightforward. You can have it white or you can have it dark. I always recommend dark if you're a content creator, otherwise you're creating new light which you can't control as well as you can if you're using proper third-party lights. Let's get rid of the pricing. Let's go into the studio. Right, here we go. So always when you see these things for the first time, there's a lot going on. It's like, what the hell is all of this? So I'll just break it down really easily. Up here, you can switch between sessions. Not really sure why you'd want to do that, but you can. And you can go, so we've got Happy New Wilson, which is my temporary name for the show coming in January. But then there's the previous one that I've already streamed. So you could go backwards and forwards. The advantage of that is that you can cut and paste and copy assets through the different sessions. So, you might want to go back and pick up a logo that you use somewhere and bring it forward, I guess. You'll see here now as well, guys, I'm now using the camera that I've been looking at all this time I'm talking to you, so that's why I was. You'll see that it's automatically recognized that I'm logged in, and it has pasted me, without me having to do anything, into this speaker box. It's also put a little lower third thing in there. I can increase it a little bit, but obviously I'm not full screen here. And it knows that these 3 boxes are set up for Ray, for William, and for David. You can change the information that appears. There's so much you can do with this. It's amazing. But from the top, so that's where you can choose your different sessions. Sorry, I jumped straight into Studio. And then you've got your ability to add more destinations. As I've said, I tend only to do YouTube and Twitch, but Facebook, I mean, look, it's already lost the connection. So you've got to go through all that crap again. And you can add more. So what have we got here? We've got Facebook Live, another YouTube channel if you wanted, LinkedIn, and your RTMP. It's fairly limited. If you look at something like Restream, there's like loads, but when you break them down, you realize that most of them nobody uses and wouldn't use. But within the broadcast channels section, you can, even once they're set up, you can just come in and disable them. So if you wanted to do a quick stream and you didn't want it to go to Twitch, which we might do in a second, by the way, because I want to show you how it looks when you're live. So we could come in and we've got Rock Show YouTube, and then we can set it to private, unlisted, public, as you would. You can schedule it for later, which is pretty cool. It also gives you an option to add in a thumbnail, I believe. I think it's at a later point. And obviously description and so on. So you can do that all there, and you can do Facebook and Twitch very similarly. So we'll leave it because we didn't change anything. And then if I click on Go Live, it doesn't actually go live instantly. I'll show you why. Channel requires content. Oh, what's going on? Evmux has lost access to Facebook. Oh, turn it off. That's why. Turn off. Oh yeah, I didn't save the fact that I turned them off. Okay, cool. If we click on Go Live, it actually gives you some options before you hit start. One is if you want to record it, and you get an option to do local recording. Now, because I'm using the Pro account, the ISO option is isolated. So basically, it splits the audio and the video into 2 separate files. So if you then want to pull it into your editor of choice, you get an option to strip out the audio. And it's better than that because it actually strips the audio of each audio channel. So each of your speakers or guests will have their own audio channel, as well as any audio in a video, etc. So if you are someone, and there are a lot of people that they will do this, or maybe interview somebody and do all this kind of stuff, record it rather than go live. Take that and take it over to Adobe Premiere or DaVinci Resolve or whatever you use, and edit it. And then you have the option to cut all the ums and the ahs and all that kind of stuff, but from independent audio, so you don't affect all the others. It's pretty clever. So you get that option. I don't use it, so it's turned off for me. To be honest, I'm not even that fussed about recording. The reason that I do tend to record these is less important these days, but if I want to publish this to a podcast, for example, I'll often record it locally because it's quicker to fling it up to Anchor than it is to wait till YouTube have processed it and then go to download and grab it. But either way, they work, so you've got your options. But this is the main and key reason why this is here, and this is really awesome. So you can choose that when it goes live, it'll automatically choose one of your scenes. These scenes. These are the scenes. We'll go through them in a second. So I've chosen intro, and intro has the rock show music. And the minute the rock show music ends, you can tell, and I'll show you this in a second, you can tell the pro scene intro to go to the next scene. And you can actually have that running through all of your scenes. So if you've got, say for example, you wanted to show something for a minute or a minute and a half, and then you want it to skip to another scene, you can put a little video in and throw it underneath the layer so you can't see it, turn the audio off, and set it that when it gets to the end of that video, go to this scene. It's pretty powerful stuff. It's full of that kind of power. So we've set it here to go automatically to intro when we hit start. We'll leave the start for the second. And then we've got hotkeys, which you are fully configurable. So you can change them if you want to. Play next scene and so on. There's quite a few of those. As far as I'm aware, you can probably plug them as well into something like a stream key thing. And then, of course, you can change your camera. We're using full definition 1080p on my Camlink. So these are all standard things: echo cancellation, noise suppression, high-res audio. It'll actually do 320 kilobits audio. To put that into context, that's twice the quality of audio that I use for my OBS stream. So if audio is really important to you, and it could be a musician, or you might be using high fidelity mics, and you want to capture really good audio, then you've got the option to do high res audio as well, which is pretty cool. So that's that. One thing to note is that I've noticed with Evmux that a lot of their windows, their pop-ups, don't have a little X. You just click out of it to get rid of it, and it seems to save the settings, so it's all good. So that's your top bar, which is essentially getting you ready to go live. Then we have the main kind of guts of the thing. This is like your scenes over here, and you can drag those out, so you can make them titchy-witchy, or you can make them a lot bigger, depending how you want to do with that. Need to have every timbre of the rock voice. Need to hear. Bless you. That's right. God, I wish I had one of those bloody cough sweets here. I'm really sorry, guys. I might go and grab one in a second, or I'll tell you what, I'll send a message to the waitress, see if I can get a bag of sweets brought in 2 seconds. Dear wife, dear Mrs. Rock. I actually started typing that. Hi, babes. That'll do. We've been married 33 years, 32 years. Can you bring my cough sweets in black currant? There we go. It's the beauty of doing the members only. There we are. So your scenes are down here. Now you may have noticed that there's a little kind of scene on its own up here, on its lonesome, called dynamic scene. And then below there we have pro scenes. The difference is your dynamic scene is effectively what you get with Restream, Melon, Streamyard, Uncle Tom Cobley. it is all you get. And I'll show you. If I click on dynamic scene, here we go. You'll now notice this is those of you that have ever been into a Restream or a Melon backup, you'll know this is your kind of standard look and feel, right? So you can share screen. Where are we? Dashboard, that'll do. Yep, so you can pull that in. It's all the standard stuff. You know how it works. And for a lot of people, most people probably, this is all you need. You do have the option to do this, though, which you can't do in Melon, and that is to have treat the screen the same way that you would treat the camera of a guest or another speaker, which is pretty cool. So, you know, from a dynamic, so dynamic is the simple, easy, if that's all you want, use it. And if that's all that you did want, by the way, I would highly recommend sticking with free or the basic plan, because you are not using this to its fullest. On the left-hand side here, and you'll see that when we go to Pro Scenes, whoops, didn't mean to go to that one. You'll see when we go to Pro Scenes that we have this here as well, but under Dynamic, it's a little simpler. We have brand settings, so we can choose how it's going to look. Very similar to Melon, you know, your primary colors, how your lower thirds look, that kind of stuff. Lower thirds being the little kind of this that's just popped up there on cue. That's what we call a lower third. Doesn't actually have to be at the lower third on here. I'll show you that in a little while. You can put overlays on as well, so you've got that option to, you know, put hello over the top. A good way, by the way, to get your logo into a free screen, if you aren't allowed to put your logo in the corner, is to use an overlay. Ta-da! But they have these little clever dynamic overlays as well, so you just pop me inside that screen, which is pretty cool. And they have a gallery of these, so you know, you can choose there. There's one that I really like, and I don't know if it's there anymore. Anyway, so that's overlays. Video clips, so you can use theirs or you can bring in your own. It's a little Evmux one, which is quite cute. There he goes, little robot fella. Loads of countdowns. But one of the things that I don't like is the way they squash the graphic. They obviously these are 16:9, but their boxes are 4x4, 4x3 rather. Thanks, babe. Oh, in the drawer next to the controllers. Yeah. Oh, I need to come out of this bloody thing. Let me get out of there. Curtains. Yeah. So video clips. So you can put your little countdowns in, and they've got a load of these going on. They're pretty cool. Yeah. So and you can add your own as well. So it allows you to upload your own videos, and we've got a few of our own. And once you click them in here and go back, it gets added, so you can just add it in as you need it. There's the one there. And they have backgrounds. So at the moment we've got the obvious well-known rock show background, but it doesn't need to be that. It could be any number of backgrounds. Lovely, thank you. Let's have a sweetie. There you go. Yeah. Oh, I can't actually see how many are watching, by the way, because I've only got chat up. So hopefully I'm not on my own here, but it doesn't matter. You can always, you may be watching it later. So that's dynamic, and it allows you to get out there and do it really quick. And you can bring in guests. You see down here, I can hover over invite guest, and that allows me to copy the link or even email them or send it to them in Messenger. That's pretty cool. So, coming out of, other things, sorry. Music, they've got sound effects and all sorts of stuff. But I'd rather show you this in Pro Scenes. So dynamic is just quick and dirty. It's like Melon, it's like Restream. You can just choose your various scenes and templates and themes and stuff down there. Pro Scenes allow you to do much more complex things. So you already saw the first scene, the first Pro Scene that we chose, or that is in these Pro Scenes, is the intro music. which is set up under Go Live to be the first thing that happens. And the way it's set up is that when it gets to the end of that video, it automatically clicks into the next scene. And the next scene is this one. Now, each of these scenes can be named. So this one I've called Welcome Screen. The next one is News, SPG, Ray's Plays, Wasted Wilson. That's what it's called at the moment. Goodbye, and then the outro video. So you can set those up as exactly as you may or may not. Not everybody has that. But even if all you wanted was a scene where you're looking to camera and going, hi, welcome. Maybe you've got a little PC over here, some lights. Thanks for popping in. Great to see you. Let's have a look at who's in the chat and so on. And then you might want to flick it to another scene, which is, you with a game screen. So you just set up a couple of pro scenes and you can put all your stuff in them. I'll show you that in a second. So here we've got the kind of 4 protagonists all having a little chit chat. And you can imagine they've all logged in and they've got their cameras there. And then we go to news. Now this actually has a transition, but you won't see it until we go live. And I will go live in a minute to show you. We'll do it privately, so you'll see it here, but nobody in YouTube will know. So you hear straight away we've set up our windows slightly differently. You'll see here, this is actually a screen share window. So it's like a template that's been put there. I'll show you if I share a screen. So let's find something interesting. We may as well do, no, not do that one. We got anything other than, okay, dashboard. There you go. So you can see now it's replaced that that holder, that place thing with our chosen screen. Let me just find something interesting to let's choose a YouTube screen. Okay, that'll do. And then we can change that to YouTube. I think that'll do it. Yep, there we go. So that has, that now I could expand that. I could make it smaller. I've actually put that white fade in as a graphic, and you can layer stuff. But so that's not there normally. You'll also see that these icons, you may see that the speaker cameras here have got a little kind of circular loading, or it's a waiting icon. So it's basically saying you've set these up for those speakers. These are the layers here. You've set these up for those speakers, but they're not here. And I'm waiting for them. And the minute they log in, they will automatically go into their little speaker holes. And this is why setting up those speakers is such a powerful feature, because you can dictate where you want them to be. When you're watching a Melon video or a Restream video or Streamyard, you bring a new guest in, everybody shuffles around and you've got no control over where everybody is. You often see people dragging themselves, and you don't have that here. Here it will put them into the designated speaker box, and you can see down the side here, it actually says add new layers. If we click on add new layers, you get options to add text, an animated caption, media file of your choice. Could be video, could be music, audio, could be static, and a slideshow, which I've not used actually. And then you've got your remote guest, speakers, screen shares, and media shares. We go back on that one. So for example, here's the overlap, the white thing. So if I click on any of this, it will bring it forward purely for the purposes of editing. When you let go, it goes back again. And you can see if I unlock it, I can hide it. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can do. I can hide it completely, or I can bring it back. And when I click away, it disappears. That's just a graphic that I've created to create sort of a natural end to the screen share. You'll also see as well under each of these sections, this one says gaming news. It's very transparent, and you're only going to see it if I move this up and down, so you can see it starts to be obvious. It's meant to be subtle, and you can get rid of it. It's just a text box. I think it's this one here, and you can rename these. If you right click, you can rename. You can edit the text in there, remove it completely, hide it. And of course up here, you've got contextual settings for each of these boxes as well. So I can change the font color, paragraph spacing and so on. It's actually got quite a bit going on. Font size, line spacing, letter spacing. It's brilliant. The vertical align within its box, the left align, which is text align. Whatever the font is, a very limited palette of fonts, I have to say. That is it. You don't get many fonts for the buck, which is, potentially an issue. Rudigs, hello, my friend. Potentially an issue if branding's really important to you. And I'm not aware of an ability yet to, members only exclusive. So only members are seeing this. Only members are in the chat as well. You do it within YouTube itself, Rudigs. You actually choose, when you schedule it, you choose it to be a members only. And then it only invites members. So loads of options, as there are with all of these. So if I click on anything, any of these boxes, if I click on, let me see, Ray's box, up here we'll have dimensions, so we can, position him. We can make him go full screen, stretch to canvas. One of the things I really love is, as I move this around, you'll see it's got guidelines. So as I move it under things, there you go, it will snap into place. So I know that I'm exactly in the right place. There you go. I love that. Look at that. Perfect. It's a great little feature. And you can lock things in place, of course. So if you don't want your logo to move, and it could accidentally, just lock it. And then we've got, as well as those dimensions, we can make it transparent. We can give everything round corners, which actually, I'll show you something. Let's create a new scene, because I thought this was really cool. So you go to create new scene. It gives you options for various templates. So you've got options here for speakers. You can have 12 speakers, don't forget. I'm not sure why some have got these backgrounds to them, actually. I wonder if, don't know. And you can increase and create your own. You've got these temporary breaks, countdowns, welcome. There's all sorts of little templates, and they're adding more all the time. So let's go back with an empty scene. I love this. We're going to add me as a speaker. So I've chosen speaker, and now it gives me each of the pre-configured speakers in here. So we'll choose moi. There he is. This is what I love. So I'll just position myself. A little lower third comes up automatically, although we can change that. If we click on the settings and go custom lower third, and then choose the lower third style. Take care, Adam. Good to see you, my friend. Thank you, buddy. You can come back and watch this. It'll probably always stay members only. But there's so much stuff to this. So these are the configurations for the existing lower third, but there are other types. So you can actually use any of these and then configure it as you need. They're all animated. They've all got a load going on. Interestingly, they've shrunk these down since the last time I looked. So they're working on this all the time. Let's cancel out there. Get back to our lower third, because I'm keen to show you. You can enable it or turn it off. You can have it so that it's permanently there, or that it hides after so many seconds, and you can have it repeat every so many seconds. So hide it after 10 seconds, and then don't show it again for a minute. 60 seconds. I've said to them, I want to go through the animation. I want to show it and hide it, but I don't want it to come back ever. And that at the moment you cannot do, which is really annoying. You can set the repeat every to 300 seconds, but at the point you get to those, whatever that is, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, comes back again. They said, well, you could do it by putting a video in of 30 seconds long and then have it automatically shift to another scene where you don't have the lower third, but that's clumsy and I don't want to do that. So, at the moment, that's there's not many of them, but that's one of the things I'm not too happy about. You can also position your lower third anywhere you want on the screen. Again, no other system does this at the web level. Wherever you want. If you want it to be bottom right, that's not a problem. You want it to be top right, that's not an issue. You've got complete control. And you can choose whether you want it to have your logo, or if you have set yourself up as Doctor, Professor, Mr., you can add that in as well. You can obviously change the colors. You can make it a lot bigger or a lot smaller. There's all of that stuff. So at the moment, it's kind of set up. It comes in, disappears after 10 seconds, 300 seconds, it's back again. But what I wanted to show you is this. So let's go to, which one is it? This one. And we'll choose these round corners, and this is what I love. So take it to maximum round corners, and then, oh, hang on, we've got to get this right. There's a way of doing this. Go to the dimensions, stretch to canvas. When you stretch to canvas, if you don't stretch to canvas and you grab a corner, it'll always keep the same aspect ratio. So, you know, if it's 9:6, it'll always be 9:6, no matter what size. When you stretch to canvas, it breaks that. And from now on, you can almost do like a manual crop. So you see, I can stretch me around. So by giving myself full rounded corners, I'm now in a circular camera, which I love. So I can then drag that down in the corner. If I just am careful with it, I can make me small, you see, put myself there. Now we can add a new layer, which is a screen share from, and you can have any of your speakers set up with a screen share. So any one of these could be the guy that you designate to run the screens, which is pretty cool, but we'll add me in as a screen. But don't forget these are layers, so you can drag it down, and there we go. So I'm now behind that one. Did you see that flipping lower third popped in again? You see, it won't shrink in Pro. That's the problem. And I've raised this with them. I'm sure they'll fix it at some point, particularly once I do a public video and show that it's a crappy idea. But now we've got me as a circle over the top of the video, which is a really neat looking, I mean, it's a lovely, whenever you're doing any kind of tutorials or gameplays, it's really nice because most people just use the same standard box, particularly if they're using Melon or Restream or Streamyard. So, you know, by doing that, you've got something that automatically looks different to everybody else. Of course, you can stretch this. Let's see, it's that one there. We'll stretch full cover, so it goes across. Boom, there we go. Actually, full cover takes out a percentage of the area around the outside, largely the search bars and stuff. We'll leave that as it is. We've gone stretch to canvas. As I said to you earlier, when you select an item on your studio and your canvas, it'll always bring it to the fore so you can edit it. But when you click away, it goes back to wherever your layers were set up. So here we are down here, and of course we're not limited to that. We can now also make ourselves a little bit more transparent if we want to see any of the background coming in. You know, if you're doing a tutorial or something, that's always pretty cool. And because you've got layers over here, you can do things like add a media file and find, I don't know if I've got any here already. No, that's cool. So if I upload a new media file, now you're not going to see this, guys, but I'll be quick because I know what I'm looking for. If I can, here we go. Cool. Okay, it's not in that one. Must be Rock Around the Clock. Yep. Yeah, okay, cool. So there's one. So let me bring in this new graphic, which is a circle. Okay. And here we are. Now we've got it now in our layers. Let's drag it down below rock. I know it's massive and all the other stuff, but you can, if I get this, whoops, is it this one? No, which one of these is it? Boom, 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 boom. Or is it there? One of that's somewhere in here, there is a way to use, well, that's quite an interesting effect anyway, isn't it? But there's a way to use, I mean, to be fair, you'd bring in a graphic with an alpha channel anyway, and then you can, you know, position yourself, either give yourself a border like this, or what I was going to do, which was to give myself like a little drop shadow. So, you know, what I'm saying is you can create external graphics, bring them in, layer them up, and create that kind of look. That was and all your keyboard shortcuts work as well. So, you know, I could just hit the delete key and it gets rid of it, or I can Command C and copy that and put me somewhere else. So, yeah, really cool if you want a layer or a scene. in here that is basically where is he? Where am I? Oh, it's that one there. New scene. There you go. So yeah, you can basically just create to your heart's content. You can actually crop as well, which is pretty cool. So if you wanted to make yourself crop your image, crop your video, like so. So it just gives you so much control. It's really, really cool. So that would be that scene. We'll remove that scene. We don't need it. And we'll come back to our previous thing. So we went from intro. It automatically kicked into our welcome scene. The welcome scene, we then kick in manually into news. And the news goes to William's Wangers, and as you can see, William has now replaced me. I've moved over to take William's place. And then we go to Ray's, and then we finally end up with Wilson, who's joining us in January. And then we have a little goodbye, and then we have the outro. Now, what I haven't shown you is one of my favorite features. So let's go back to the welcome screen. Now, normally, as you know, I like to always say hello to the chat, beginning of this, and throughout the whole show, but particularly at the beginning. I love the chat option in here. So it's very much, you know, similar to the others. You can type your own messages and stuff, and it gives you a lovely little sample one. But you've got really good animations. Watch this. Look at that. It's fantastic. So every time you pull up a comment from chat, it actually shows you over here as well. It's probably a little bit small for you guys, but it actually says it was an hour ago and it was on Facebook. And you can obviously hide it as well. It has an outro animation as well as it has an intro animation. And if you show a banner, and I've sort of created some banners over here. So we're in welcome here, aren't we? So let's go with the rock show, welcome to another banging gig. That actually replaces the comment. Look at that. It graphically does an intro over the top. And there's our comment, our banner, beg your pardon, over the top. And again, I can hide it and it does a reverse design. I love that. You can change how those look over here. It's a bit limited, but they're working on new stuff all the time. And you can actually have an option to do custom. So again, we can determine where we want the banners, and actually it's a lower third. I'm not sure that banners work with that style. This is the style up here. So if I choose style 3, and then we're going to have a look at that welcome, you'll see it is a different look. Still got kind of an animation to it. It's not quite as nice. Each of these has a slight, that one is just straight. It just happens. This one is the most complicated, but I think it's not that pretty. So this is the one that I've chosen. I think that works really well. And you can turn off the logo if you want to. You can put the date and time, shows up over here as well if it's live. You can obviously choose your main color and so on. And it's got a little red dot up there to remind you that you've got a banner showing, which is pretty cool. But if you do a comment, if you do a chat comment, it will automatically replace one or the other. It doesn't go back after when you get rid of one, but I think that's fine. So that's where your chat would appear. And obviously what it's showing you is avatar, name of individual, what platform the comment was posted, and then their actual chat comment in there as well. And you can, if you want it bigger, if that ain't good enough, then you just choose a different one of these. So you can get different designs, different styles, and so on. And there we go. We've now got Dude with his Facebook and all his other stuff going on in there as well. So I think that's a really cool looking feature. On top of that, you've also got music and background audio as well. So here, air horn. I'm not sure if the audio comes through for you guys. Music, and again, you can add your own if you want to. You get to change the volume here. I love their countdown, but as I say, I'm not sure if the audio will come through for you, but I'll do it anyway. No, it didn't, I could see. But yeah, so that will play, and then you can loop it if you want to. You want to use some of their background music, you can just press loop. It's all royalty free. And then adjust the volume here accordingly. It actually needs to be quite low, 8 or 9. If you get up to 15, it's actually quite loud. So yeah, you do what you need to do, and then you can have that running. That background music or that sound will run through all scenes. So if you switch a scene, it won't suddenly stop. That's the only thing to bear in mind, which, yeah, it should be how it goes. Let's hide Matey's comment. There we go. So if we went to this one, for example, again, I chose to put the cameras at the top in the new revised look and feel of Rock Show, because it allows me to have more. So where are we? We're in gaming news. It allows me to put these banners at the bottom without covering people's faces down the left-hand side. And I've come up with this idea of having, so I typically in the show, my section is the news section. And then obviously William has his gaming pro tips. Ray has his kind of gaming forecast. We've not really established what Wilson's going to have yet, David, but he'll have something. So this allows me to not cover them up. That's the key thing. And similarly, if we put any comments up, it's not going to cover them up. So they will they'll obviously cover up to a degree the screen share, but I don't think that's such a big deal. What else? We've almost exhausted a lot of it. There's a lot of fine detail. I mean, you've got internal chat, and actually you can send to a group, or you can send to an individual, which is in. I mean, obviously we're not all in here, but if William was here, for example, you'll see him listed. I could just send William a message. Hi mate, you're muted. Whatever. And push to talk as well, which is pretty cool. So there's like a green room. They all appear down here, down the bottom. And in the green room, so anybody who hasn't been added yet to the show can talk to each other vocally as well as typing, which you don't see anywhere else. And I can choose whether I want to mute that. See this volume bar down here? It actually says backstage sound. It affects only my end. So if I don't want to hear them chatting, I can turn that down. They all hear me anyway. If they log in as a guest, they've got their own little screen. They see all the other guests and speakers, and they see the live show in the corner, and they can listen in if they want to. It's brilliant. So they can all talk to each other. I can hear what they're saying if I want to. Which there's no other system does that. None of the other web streaming systems does that, which is just a fantastic feature. All this stuff down here is fairly standard. You can choose your mic, your camera, your shared screen. You can share video, which is upload video as opposed to anything else. And you can add guests. The only thing is, if you're going to add a guest and you don't have a speaker box, they just get kind of dropped in the middle in a big box, and then you kind of have to move them down and shuffle them around and resize them and stuff, which, that's a little bit annoying. So you kind of want to probably set that up before you go live. In the dynamic scene, of course, that doesn't happen. You invite a guest and it will shrink it down to allow for the guest, as it would in Melon or Restream or any of the others, because that's kind of how they work. So let's go back to here. I'm going to run it live. It's going to go private, but it's important because there's a few functions that you only see when you go live. For example, transitions between scenes. You don't see those when you're not live. They only render when you go live. So let me go live. We're only going to go, it won't make any difference. You guys won't see it anyway. It's going to go private. It shouldn't affect our stream. I'm using a different camera, as you can see down the bottom, and the mic is coming through. So what's going on up here is not going to stop what's happening with us. So I'm going to press start. You'll see when it goes live, it automatically will start with the intro scene, because that's what I've set up here to be the starting scene. And when that's finished, it should kick into the welcome screen. So let's do it. Dum, da, 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 da. You can see at the top it says initializing, can take up to 2 minutes. So until that scene kicks in, you just relax. Right, there we go. So the first thing I wanted to show you is we now have the left-hand side was where we were, and the right-hand side flipped over with a transition, and now we can see this is what is going on live. It's on YouTube up here. It says live recording. You'll see at the top as well, it shows the amount of people watching. What I love about this system is it breaks it into each of the broadcasts. So you will see one for Twitch, one for YouTube, one for Facebook, and so on. So you can actually see how many people are watching across each of those systems. You can shrink that down. You can get rid of it entirely if you want to and just see your live recording. But the beauty of having that there is if you wanted to have a look at any of these others, you see the main one hasn't changed. If I wanted, for example, let's say I've got a guest's arrived or a new speaker. I may want to add a new box to my to this screen over here, and I could do this on the fly while we're live. No, you don't need to know if we're just chit-chatting. So over here I could quickly go in and I could replace that speaker with any of the others. So let's say our guest has joined. I can go quick, replace it with John. In the main screen, nothing changed. It's only when I transition that John has now replaced Ray, sorry. And the world didn't know that was happening. And in fact, if we did it in a different scene, they wouldn't have known. We wouldn't needed to have transitioned, because all we need to do once we've gone, welcome, we've done our thing. Hey, guests, we've gone over to the comments. Where are we? Here we are with our live chat. And we've pulled up the comments down here. I don't know that I can send a chat while we're in private. Hello world. Let's see. Don't think so, but you can see here I can choose my destinations to send that chat message to, which you can do in Melon. So I can either do all destinations, or I could just say to Twitch, sorry Twitch, the raffle's not working for Twitch today, for example. So let's hit hello world and see if it did work. There you go. That's cool. So we can see our chat up here 1 second ago, YouTube, and we can replace that dude with us. So there you go, Rock Show, Hello World, and that's all going on, which is pretty damn cool. So we could do another one. Let's just do a really long-winded, see what it will let us do. Let's see. Well, it's not told me to stop, but there is a definite chat limit, so let's see what happens when we put this up here. Well, it seems to have catered for it all. But you can see now why I've very carefully and deliberately created these boxes, these speakers and cameras, so that, let's get rid of that one, so that I can put comments and banners up and they're not going to blank out our friends. So here we go, is our initial banner. So let's go to one that is, here we go, let's go to this one. Press play. See the transition there? This is live. You only see those. Let's do another one. I'll show you again. There you go. Different transitions. And there's a multitude of transitions. I assume, yep, you can play with these while you're here. So it shows you them. Fade up, fade down. Hey, Curly, how are you, brother? Slide down, zoom out, zoom in, flip out, and so on. And you can put your own in as well. Add from gallery and upload your own stinger and all that stuff. I don't know if I've got my stingers here, actually. Let's go to Rock Show. And it's amazing, Joe, isn't it? It's absolutely amazing. It takes a little while to get your head into it, but I'm really keen to do some tutorials and stuff. I love it. I mean, I'm genuinely excited about using it. Where am I? Sorry about this. Rock Show. Where's the new branding? Here we are. Stinger. Final render. Oh, it's not seeing it. It's got to be a web. That's interesting. Well, we'll cancel that. Don't need to see that. Yeah, so William's in there, and we can put our banners up and do all that kind of a thing. And of course, we can control the shared screen and add guests and so on. And on it goes. But the thing is, as I've said, all of this can be shrunk. So if you've got I'm using about 30% of my monitor here, so that you guys are getting to see as big as possible. But normally you'd have this stretch the full screen. And then, of course, you can have these more spaced out. But I can shrink my scenes down. I know the scenes; they're all named, so it's not difficult for me to choose those. I can shrink or expand the assets. It's actually as much as it goes. And then, of course, I can grab that line and view my kind of transition, the previous screen, which I can still edit, with the live screen, which I can't. This is what the world is seeing. So if we switch to a transition, there we go. We transition to that one, and there we go. Flip it out. Absolutely amazing. I know, Curly. I know, my friend. It's as I was saying. The key thing here is, Curly, that the free version of Evmux gives you more than any of the other streaming services for free. So none of the others let you do a 1080p stream for free. This one does. The limitation with Evmux largely is that you won't be able to place your own logo. Although I guess you could put something in Pro Scenes, and it puts a watermark over the top. But for a lot of people that use the free stuff, it really doesn't matter to them. Oh, look, Ant streaming. Oh, what's he doing? So yeah, so there you go. So William Ray would be replaced in here. It's showing me live recording how long we've been streaming. I can turn the audio up or down, and this only affects me at my end. So if I'm struggling because somebody's mic's really loud, I can do that there en masse, which is pretty cool. And I can see again how many people are watching and all that kind of stuff. So it's all going on up there. The background, the green room as well, I can turn their stuff up and down. And I can go to full screen mode, where automatically you can see how much more space I've got. I'll bring it down to there. But that really is about as much as I'm going to show today. There's not much more. There's certainly clever things you can do, and these guys are working on new features all the time. They've got a really great Facebook page where they talk about all the latest bits they're working on. I wish they would be more attentive with their Twitter, mind you. I've noticed they haven't tweeted since October, and I tweeted and tagged them in today, and they've not responded. So they could certainly do more with their own soc. But they're nice guys, and they do a town hall every week. And every week when they do a town hall video, they try to bring a new feature that they're working on to the table, which is really cool. Yeah, and to be honest, and to be fair to them, I reached out and just said, you know what, I really like the look of your system. Could you let me have a week, maybe a week, 10 days worth of free access just to the basic tier so that I can do some videos? And without question, they came straight back and said, what's the email address you've used for the free account? So I told them. And then they went, okay, we've just put you on the pro tier, the most expensive tier. I was there, wow. And I went to look at the account, and they've put it in for a whole year. So I've literally got the pro tier for a whole year. So I'm going to make use of it. And to be fair, I think it's great. And certainly in terms of coming up with ideas and things to run tutorials and stuff on, I think there's a lot there. What's the max res? It's 1080p, my friend, on all of them, and that is the case across the board. So you've got to do the OBSs, the Prisms, or the Streamlabs if you want to go beyond 1080p. Melon's a weird one because I have streamed RTMP from OBS at 1440, and it's allowed it, but it isn't really what they're set up for. But it's the fact that you essentially have, even at free tier, let's go for Evmux pricing. Sorry guys, pricing. Let me go look at pricing. Here we go. So even their free tier gives you that pro scene builder, so the ability to create those pro scenes, 5 gig of storage for all your videos and your assets and stuff. I mean, I don't know why anybody would want to put 5 gigs worth of stuff. Up to 12 people on screen at any one time. It's amazing. You can only get 4, I think, on the free one for the others. Fully branded overlays and backgrounds. So there's nothing to stop you putting your logo on an overlay and putting the overlay on it, even though in the top right corner it's always going to say Evmux. There's nothing to stop you having, your logo of whatever description you want on an overlay anywhere else on that screen. It won't go over the top of their logo. But there's nothing, you could be clever. You could put, my show powered by, and then their logo to the right of it. It kind of works. Backstage mode, so all the speakers, all the guests that are yet to be up on the stage, they're in the backstage, they all see each other, they can all talk to each other with their microphones, and none of that bleeds onto the show, which I think is fantastic. Push to talk, cool. Full 1080p, 2 destination multi-stream, Twitch and YouTube. What more do you need? Your lower thirds, your banners, tickers. I didn't show you tickers. They're pretty cool, actually. I'll show you that next. Integrated chats, which is the comments. On-screen templates, highlight comments, virtual backgrounds, which is, green screen. Screen sharing, slideshow, streaming limits, which is still pretty good. Per stream, it's a 2-hour limit, but you can stream 30 hours a month. And then a powered by Evmux watermark, which I think for free, what? Yeah, exactly. Curly's got it. Call yourself Evmux, and then it is your logo. It ain't a bad logo either. I mean, the basic one, the basic one at $19 a month, $25 a month. All of that, unlimited streaming hours, 4 destinations, no Evmux logo, custom RTPMP, and you can record your own content. For most people, other than the loss of the logo, you're not worried about any of that, to be honest with you. And then the Pro account, which they very generously gave me, so I can isolate audio from video when I'm recording it, if I want to edit it later. I can do 320 kilobits audio, which, again, very, very specific, unless you're using high-quality mics, or maybe you're a musician, it's not of any value. 9 destination multi-stream, I don't know who would want to do that. 50 gig of storage, don't care. Teams. Now, Teams is the one thing that that you get that I think is worth it. Let me, before we go any further, let me just show you how the ticker looks. I'll shrink that down so you get to see most of that. There we go. So I really like this. So let's just say, for example, thank you to my members. All right, bit space, and then you put your names in: Joe, Curly, Adam. Who else have we had? Rudigs. Just say you haven't got very many. Fred, Joe, and Tom. Okay. Yeah, it's a definite top tier feature. You're right, Joe. So that I then tick the ticker option. Okay, and we'll create that one. Again, it's not going to go live till we want it to. But now we'll pop this up here. So you see the thank you to my members comes up in bold, and then the rest of it, which is pretty cool. And depending on the style, it has dates and different graphics and stuff. But it works quite nicely. I like the fact that you do get that option to have like a slightly different font color, announcing what it is that you're tickering. But you don't get to show it only for so long and stuff. It doesn't give you that option. It does tell you can have 200 characters, 54 characters in there. Of course, if you take the ticker off and update it, it becomes a standard banner. There you go. So, you can have it like that if you want to, which is pretty cool. Let's, do you know what? Having got it there, I'm not sure how to get rid of it. I don't know how you delete them. I haven't tried to. Oh, there we go. Just click on it and remove it. There we are. That's cool. Now, what was the other thing that I mentioned? Oh, collaborators. Yeah. So let's end the broadcast on this one. If you play, Joe says, if you play a video on stream, would the guests hear the audio as well? Yes, they will. In fact, what happens, Joe, the reason you're not hearing any of this is because you're not actually in this stream. We're in a separate stream, and all you're seeing is what I've got on screen. I've turned the audio off because you don't need to hear it, okay? But if we were streaming live, and I'll show you, if I go to my screen share, you see here, I've got an option, share system audio. So as long as I've checked that box and then choose Cowboy, 30 days of streaming, as long as that is checked, there will be audio coming through. So, and that's going on in there, basically. All right, so so there would now be audio. I was just thinking, the reason I paused for a second was I'm not sure if there's a separate audio option. I'm fairly certain they said there was. Rock screen share. There's all visual stuff there. Rename, duplicate, replace the screen share. That's pretty cool, actually. Oh, I like that. I haven't thought of that before. So I could have multiple screens, like different news tabs and things, and then just replace it. So that could be quite useful. So yeah, I'm looking to see if I can tone down the audio. Can't see it. I'll have to ask them that one, because that could be quite useful. There's that stuff. There's me, which is unmute, mute, and all that malarkey. Audio, which is my mic, and so on. With share video, I'd upload an MP4. This one. That's probably massive. I doubt it would be very happy if I did that. Let's bring up a small one. So that's going to show it. It'll probably pop up down here when it has uploaded. And then it's going to be over here somewhere. At which point... oh, it is actually this one thing. No, it's not. Isn't it? Cloud. No, that's the background. Oh, there it is down there, look. It's actually here. And there's where the audio is. Aha, there you go. So there is audio for the screen share. Perfect. So you just look for your media down the bottom here. And then if Ant was shouting, or people go, oh, that's a bit loud, Rock, you can just affect the broadcast. Perfect. So if I now add that video to the pro scene, you'll see it just kind of pops it up. Here we are. And here you can then turn the video audio down. Brilliant. Right, but we'll delete it and we'll take it away from down here. And that's always down there, by the way. You could bring that up anytime you wanted. So if you had some videos you want to add in, or intro, outro, you could run them from down there. And get rid of that one. There you go. That's really cool, isn't it? Collaborators. What you do, I think, is you essentially make your speaker. You can choose to have... Oh, yeah, we're going to end the broadcast. Just end it. Doesn't matter. It's private anyway. I'm quite keen. I like to go back after and have a look at the quality. The broadcast has ended. You can find your recordings anytime on your dashboard under the relevant project and section. So we'll do that later. I'm going to turn Ant off, actually. We don't need to see. See you, mate. See you later. You see, it then designates who owns that screen, but you could change that. So, you could add, David's screen or whatever. It was pretty cool. So if we go back to the dashboard and end from there, here's our dashboard, and show recordings. Here's our recordings that we've just done. So that one was 19 minutes long, 596 megs in size, and started at 12 minutes past 11 GMT. There's our video. We can download it or we can delete it. And actually, it's pretty cool. If I mouse over it, it actually runs. It appears to be showing slices through the video, which is pretty cool. So we delete it. We don't need it. It's really, really good. So if we go back to dashboard, I'm trying to remember how we get to collaborators or teams, as they call it. I think, do we go to projects? Rock, project, profile. I don't think it's profile. Obviously, this is my details. I don't think it's under speakers, but it might be. So if I, let's go to David, for example. Does it have an option? Another thing for my Christmas wish list. Definitely go for the free version anyway, Joe, and have a play with it, because quite honestly, most of what exists here, for me, and personally, the only thing that is very useful that isn't in the free version is the teams. And I say that because when I do my multi-host streams, it's really useful sometimes if they want to pull in, a piece of chat that they've seen that I may have missed, kind of thing. Because you can't do that if you're not an admin, for example, in Melon. But you would if you were a collaborator on here. I did find it earlier. Is it under settings? Collaborators, here you go. Type here, email of a person who you want to send an invitation to become a collaborator. Right. So that's what you do. You email a personage who you want to be a collaborator, they accept, and then when they come in, they basically have admin rights. So if you're in a show together, I mean, I'm going to test this, because it may be they don't even need to be in the show. They could be a mod, if you see my point. In the way that mods typically live in the chat, they could be here in the show with you, actually, working on assets, positioning guests, managing the chat, pulling in videos. They could be doing all that stuff. You could agree beforehand, with a running order of what you want them to do. Like, I want you to start the Streamlabs raffle 10 minutes into the show for me, get the Wheel of Fortune ready, so that when I get there, it's there. Like a producer behind the scenes. Exactly, Joe. Exactly that. I'm not sure how many team people you can have. I don't think it's that many, actually. Collaborate with your team members by inviting them easily. I've got a feeling it's limited to 2. But what I'm not sure of is whether that's 2 per project or 2 for the whole of the thing itself, if that makes sense. I'm sure it does. So I can't even remember now. Speakers, wasn't it? Was it speakers or was it settings? Settings. See, that's showing Stephen. I've set him up as a collaborator at some point out of interest, probably to test it. But then, so I would then choose Stephen. Okay, so he's now a collaborator on this project, but not, if we save that, success. If we then go to Rock Show, for example, and settings, he's not here, you see. So I would theoretically be able to add a different collaborator here. So for Rock Show, I might decide I want William to be my collaborator, or someone that's not even in the show. That's the thing I love the idea of, like somebody you trust behind the scenes. So you could bring that individual in on this project, but not on Rock Players, because it's too late in the day for that, for example. So look, here we've actually got Stephen and Bjorn as collaborators running in there, which is pretty cool. And I probably just want to get rid of Stephen there, so I don't want to confuse the poor lad. So there you go. I mean, as you can see, guys, far more featureful and feature-rich than any of the other systems that are out there. Just the ability to manage your sessions and your speakers and your different shows. There's nothing like this out there. And for me, because you know me, I like my different branded shows. And it's because they have different audiences. They approach things differently. We've got 2 new shows coming up, I think, in the new year. Both of them are going to be without me in them, and they're going to be quite late for me. For you in America, there'll be perfect timing. One of them is more of a family one, so it's going to be a lot of outright games and that kind of thing. Another one's going to be young Stephen Holt's going to be doing his own show, talking largely about Japanese stuff, Japanese RPGs, anime, that kind of stuff, Nintendo Switches. So he's going to be going, both of them will be after Christmas now, but he will be going out around about 1 a.m. UK time, which is, we are 20 to midnight now in the UK, so about an hour and a half from now is when Stephen will go live. The other one I don't know yet, and it might only be a weekend show. I've got to talk to the guys involved. But so there'll be 2 more shows coming up. So I'll be able to have those in here as projects. That's the thing I love. And then those projects can have those guys can be the collaborators of their own projects, right? So they can log in and run their shows. And because they're only set up to collaborate on those shows, they're not going to be able to mess about with the other shows. Brilliant. And the same thing for Rock Players. So, Bjorn and my plan always for Rock Players was that I would only host it once in a blue moon, and I've been looking to mentor Bjorn to take it on as a project. So the way we are with it at the moment is, obviously, Bjorn, look at that, 2 gig total storage. Wow, that must be the videos, the intro and the outro videos. So at the moment, Bjorn's not been too well, bless him. But the last one, I came on as a guest. So I had no ability to administer that show at all. And so I could imagine me being in a situation where I would be a speaker, Bjorn would be a collaborator, but essentially running it with Stephen, and then obviously the other guys would be speakers or guests. So once you start to think about how you can use the various tools, and for me, it's virtually perfect, because these are it's almost made for how I'm running my channel. Joe says, looking forward to what the new year holds for the Rock brand. Bless you, my friend. I'm really looking forward to what you've been working on. I'm super excited by it. I genuinely am. But I knew you'd get all this stuff, Joe. You're like me. You're constantly thinking about new ways, new things to try, different ways to approach it and stuff. I get as much of a kick, honestly, out of the creative. Sounds like I got a new member or something. It's very nice. I get as much of a kick out of creating this kind of stuff, and developing like Larry the Laptop. Nobody else has done anything like that. The 3D work, the reflections on the keys. I'm really proud of old Larry. And he's largely why I can't move that show to this. But he's also 1440. Sorry, the show's also 1440/60. And of course, we're limited here to 1080 30, which even at pro level doesn't go any higher. But for talking head stuff, perfect. Absolutely perfect. So there you go, guys. That's been my my little run through. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've been meaning to do a private members only thing for the longest time. I've done them in the past, but they don't always get a huge amount of live viewership. So it just largely depends what it is that what it is that it is. What's, what you know what I'm saying? What the subject matter is. It largely depends. That will depend on who is watching and who isn't watching. And it never tells me, actually. I noticed that before. When you're doing a members only stream, it never tells you how many people are watching. It does obviously show you the chat, but that's all good. I'm all good and all fine with that. So before I go, guys, if you've got any questions, anything that you wanted to ask me about Evmux or anything else, I'm perfectly up for answering. I'll give you a couple of seconds. If there's anything you want to know about this or anything else. Joe says, the big question is, when do we get more rock around the block? Yeah, it's a good question. There have been 2 times this week when I was going to do something and it rained. And today I was in a beautiful village where I went to see a chiropractor, which is why I was there, for my shoulder. And I was going to do it then because it's an amazing village. Lots of very successful people and wealthy people live there. And the architecture and the history of the place is amazing. But I was with my daughter and her boyfriend, and I thought it's a bit of an invasion of their privacy. Because with the 360 camera, it's not like I can shoot the camera away from them. So I decided I would wait and do that when it's sunnier. I'm now coming up to Christmas. I can't see me getting out before the weekend, but next week I'm home all week, and I won't be doing the regular show, so I'm going to definitely get at least one in, and I've got a couple of places. There's one, Joe, that I really wish I'd got to. I was hoping to do it last Sunday. It's a place called Buckfast Abbey, and it's where monks live, and it's the most amazing place. It's just like a huge cathedral, and these monks make this liqueur called Buckfast wine, which in the UK is notorious for its strength. And but it's an amazing place. Anyway, last Christmas, my daughter and I went there, and they were doing carols, and it was the most moving, gorgeous, massive vaulted ceilings and the sound and everything, and we loved it. We were so chilled. But sadly, we've run out of time before Christmas to go in and see that. And by the time I go back, I'm hoping if I can go down there shortly after Christmas, they might still have a lot of the decorations and stuff. So that one I want to do. I might go and do that village. But yeah, I'm really keen. Thank you, my friend. It's great. It feels like a proper travel show, and I love seeing other countries. Yeah, I think it's got legs. No pun intended. I love doing them. My original idea was that I would stream live, and I would actually take the camera. Let me bring me up a little bit. Take the camera and stream it live. So, I would be walking along and referring to you guys in chat. But although that is possible, it does need a really decent connection. And where I live down here, there are pockets of 5G and really good 4G, but most of the time it drops off. And I fear that certainly the places that I want to take you guys to, which typically out of the way, I fear that we'll be streaming away and it'll just disappear. So if I record it, and what I did was, I was quite proud of this. I've watched a lot of videos, and what they've done is they've bought Rode speakers, microphones, sorry, and they've got them attached, and they're Bluetooth, and they're talking, and then they record it on the camera. Very expensive. Those are like 200 quid, these mics. And all I did was where is it? I've got this little microphone that I bought, I don't know, last year maybe. A little, what they call them, lavaliers or something. So it's one of those that you stick it on your lapel. It didn't cost me a great deal. It's a quite cheap one, but it's got a battery as well. So it's a really nice little mic. And what I did was I just attached it to my phone and used an audio recording app, popped that in my pocket, and recorded audio at the same time as I was filming. So you never see the leads and stuff. I didn't need to get anything to attach to the camera. I'm just recording it on my phone. And the audio that is on the Hator video was using this. The audio on the camera, you can hardly hear me. The wind is really noisy, and there's a little bit of distance. So it really worked fantastically well. I've got a little what do you call it, like a sound muffler on the mic, a little furry one, so it was taking all the wind out. Perfect. And it's sort of not too obtrusive. So, when you're walking along, the weird thing about those cameras on a stick is they don't look like cameras and they don't look like phones. So people aren't automatically concerned that they're being recorded, because you've got that fear factor nowadays. If you're walking around a village or a town or an abbey with old folk in, and they see you recording them, there's a little bit of invasion of privacy. So the great thing about these cameras is they're not obvious. People do, they'll become more obvious, but they just literally look like a small rectangular brick. And if you turn the lights off and stuff, and you can turn off the screen and the lights and things, you can set that to turn off. Nobody notices. So I'm definitely want to do more. It's just been circumstance and weather this week, Joe, to be honest. But next week, after Christmas, 100%. In fact, a lot of the stuff that I've asked my kids for Christmas is all accessories for the camera, like a stick. So they call them selfie sticks. But the stick the camera goes on, and you can get a really, really long one. It's about 3 meters. It's like 13 or 14 feet. And it's brilliant because it acts like, when you fully extend it and put it above you, it's like a drone flying. And you can use it to sort of push it up into trees and around buildings, and it literally is like a drone. So I've asked for one of those. I've asked for a pack that includes like a vest that you wear, and the camera attaches to it like a GoPro. So you don't need the stick. And obviously it blanks off one of the cameras, so you're not going to get the full 360. But pretty good if you are walking around a town and you don't really want to have some idiot comment or somebody nick your stick or whatever. So so a lot of that stuff. So I'll be testing all that out next week. But thank you for that, my friend. I'm glad you liked it. I don't know what the views have been like. They've not been, to be fair, they've not been huge. I've got to be honest. I was expecting them to do a little better than they did. Let's have a little look. So I've set up a rock around the block section on my homepage. So out of interest, the basic one, the non 360, that's had 96 views. That's not amazing. I had that tonight on the rock show. What did that get to? That's had 77 views and it had 69, I think, when it was live. It's getting 3 views per hour at the moment, that one. But they'll build. I typically, they go up to between 150 and 300 views by the time the week has ended. So after that's been out there now for a couple of weeks, it's only had 6 days ago, sorry, it's not exactly a couple of weeks, 6 days ago, 96 views, so not massive. The 360 is 73, so a little bit less. And then just the clip of me talking about the dog That's had 87 views. That's not the short. The actual short of me talking about the dog from that clip, that's had 2,000 views. Yeah, shorts are unbelievable for views. I've got my ABBA one, which I think is my biggest one to date. 4,500 views. And I've actually, 5,200, sorry, there's another one beside it. And I've actually got some film footage of Queen, as in Bohemian Rhapsody Queen, Freddie Mercury, from a gig that I went to years ago. I've got about an hour's worth of footage, which did really, really well, but it's on an old channel of mine that has maybe got 12 subscribers. So I need to remember where I've dumped it, and then I'm going to make a ton of shorts out of that. I think that will do really, really well. It's getting around to it, to be honest. But there we go. If you have any more questions, fire them at me. If not, I will head for the hills. What day is it tomorrow? Wednesday. What have I got on? Have I got much on tomorrow? I don't think so. Oh, look, happy holidays from Bungie. Oh, bless them. Destiny 2. Happy holidays. Yeah, I've really not enjoyed Destiny so much this year. I was a Destiny addict. I genuinely had an addiction to Destiny 1, right up to Destiny 2 first year probably. And I think unhealthily as well. I think it had an impact on me mentally. But the last year, I just can't get back into it. I jump in and I just see the same old stuff to do. And even with the new seasons, once I've done the initial story, I'm just not interested anymore. It's funny. It's almost like I've cold turkeyed out of it. But it's nice of them. They're trying to flog me Lightfall. I'll wait. That's coming out in February. I'm not overly worried. Yeah. Okie dokie. I'm not seeing any more questions, so I shall let you guys go. Thank you very much, anyone who has stuck out the full stream. I'm not sure how long we've been streaming, actually. How long have we been going here? It must be a while. I can't see. Normally. Oh, there it is down there. 2 hours, just over 2 hours. 2 hours and 1 minute. So it's a 2-hour stream. I'm in two minds about whether to edit this and use it as the first review, because I covered some ground. I do this every time. But I'd want to cut out some stuff. There's some, this obvious waffly stuff. It's my pleasure, Joe. Thank you, my friend. I might download it and edit, put some, normally I use Camtasia for doing this kind of stuff. Camtasia, I've paid for a license for it. And what it allows you to do is it separates the camera from the screen and the mouse. So as you move your mouse around, you can hide it, or you can exaggerate it, or you can create false mouse trails. You can increase or decrease your camera, move it around all over the place. You can zoom in on sections. So it's great when you're doing, this kind of thing. Maybe I'll use it. Maybe I'll just use this as a blueprint, which is what I was originally thinking of doing, to be honest. Right, that'll do it. That'll do, pig. That'll do. So there you go. Let me know, guys, if you do end up using it, or if indeed you found this video useful and it's inspired you to go and give it a go. Download the free version. You've got nothing to lose. Get yourselves over to the Facebook page. You'll find me over there under my real name, because I'm gutted that Facebook annoys me. I want to use my page on Facebook, which is The Rock Show. I don't want to use my account, which is my name and my family and all that stuff. So I've made all that private, but in making it private, it won't let me join groups because it insists that I've got to use that account. So anyway, you'll find me over there with my real name. And as I say, I'm planning to use this with the January the 3rd return, which will have David Wilson. And you'll know it now. You'll see those transitions and the cameras and stuff, and it's going to be interesting. It's only when you go live and you use it in anger that you find any of the issues, or having to think around the things that you would just take for granted. But it's all good. Right, that's me. It's coming up to midnight, a couple of minutes before midnight, so it's a good time for me to quit anyway. It's exciting, isn't it? I really love it. What's this? Choose one of our comprehensive packages, free pro. Upgrade your plan. Why is it showing a dodgy screen and a really good screen? Because you don't get a difference. If you don't feel like you fit to one of our neat packages, please get in touch to organise a bespoke. I think it's a fairly small company. I think, the guys that own it pretty much are involved day to day. So they're definitely open to being approached. I have noticed as well that the screens they use on their site differ from the actual screens themselves. Go away, robot. So like these icons up here, and the way they've got their stuff down the left here, that doesn't exist anymore. That may have been proof of concept how they expected it to look, but it definitely isn't how it's ended up. But yeah, I like this. I like these guys. I like what they're doing. They're very friendly, and I'm excited because for me, I'm a feature freak, and every week when they go, yeah, we're working on this amazing new feature, you go, oh wow, let's love it. Brilliant stuff. That's it, guys. Have a fantastic, where are we? Tuesday. Have a fantastic Tuesday, because for most of you it still is. I will see you tomorrow for Rock Around the Clock. We'll give away a few more prizes. Oh, talking of which, I've got to go and I did give somebody a prize earlier, but I've forgotten. Someone else has come back and said what they want, the old raffle gift. So I need to go and do that. So I'll do that before I go to beddies. Good. That's it. I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you very much for spending some time with me. Hope you found it useful, and let me know if you did. And I'll catch up with you all in the next